Joining us now, Democratic Congressman Jim Himes of Connecticut, along with Republican Congressman of Utah, Jason Chaffetz, two friends of the program, if you will, and gentlemen who I actually have respect for both tremendously. Both sides, when you look at this, have messed up over years. Again, disastrous financial deregulation under Clinton in the late 90s, expanded, perpetuated in Bush, two unfunded wars under Bush, Medicare Part D. You get to Obama, too big to fail banks are made bigger, the health care reform instead of dealing with the health care monopoly and employer-based health care. So listen, there's no friends on either side of the political spectrum for the American people these days, but you two have certainly made great cases to me on this program. I'll start with you, Jason Chaffetz, on the Republican side. What is the tactic behind playing this tax cut game when the core issue in this country is lack of jobs, lack of investment, lack of innovation?
Well, fundamentally, Republicans believe this is not a time to raise taxes on anyone. We're not trying to play rich versus poor. We're not trying to play middle class versus the rich. We don't want to raise taxes on anybody. We have got to drive this economy forward. And you make great points about needing to fix some of the systemic changes or systemic problems in other areas. But right now, here today, I'm not willing to vote for anything that's going to raise taxes.
Congressman Himes?
Yeah.
How do you respond to that?
Well, you know, like so many things, the discussion that is happening in Washington is sort of beside the point. I mean, we've got a timing issue here. We've got an economic recovery that is very, very fragile. So I don't actually fundamentally disagree with what Jason just said. Now is not a time to be raising taxes on anybody. But we're talking about making these tax cuts permanent. Is it for somebody? Is it for the, middle class? Is it for the upper class? Folks, these tax cuts, upper class and, sub 250, the price tag on that is $4 trillion over 10 years. The commission that just came out, the Simpson-Bowles Commission, found $4 trillion in savings. So on the one hand, we're going to say, oh yeah, we want to do the $4 trillion in tax cuts, but wait to see what the reaction is to the Bowles-Simpson plan, which proposes a real way. And look, there's going to be stuff in there that people hate, stuff in there that people don't hate, but that's the pain that is involved in actually saving $4 trillion. So leadership in this moment is saying, if I'm going to push tax cuts, I'm going to find a way to pay for it. If I'm going to say that I want to increase spending, I'm going to have the guts to either tax or cut other programs. That's the discussion we need to be having.
I agree, but if the base concept is, listen, we want to release money into private hands and have it be invested in employing people to solve America's problems, energy, health care, education, etc. That's the base argument behind tax cuts, money printing at the Federal Reserve, stimulus money. I don't care where you get the money from. And at the same time, we never see any real debate about the fact that we do have rigged trade, that we do have a financial system that is not incentivized to drive investment and lending in our country, even though we subsidize it with trillions of dollars. And so while it's lovely to have these debates from everything from quantitative easing to tax cuts, the only reason why you would create that money would be to try to solve the problem, which is lack of investment, lack of innovation. And no one, Jason Chaffetz, Congressman Chaffetz, seems to be having that conversation.
Well, it does need to be had. You're absolutely right. But right now, we need economic certainty. The businesses, small and big, mom and pop to the biggest corporations we have, they don't know what their taxes are going to be even 45 days from now. And that uncertainty makes capital resistant to make investment. Until it makes that investment, we're going to have stagnant unemployment rates, which is just totally unacceptable. But absolutely, the Congress has got to go back and address some of those more fundamental challenges. Absolutely.
I want to play something for you. We had Senator Tom Coburn on the show yesterday, along with Governor Rendell of Pennsylvania, and had a conversation not dissimilar to the one that we're having here. But I want to give you guys a sample of this and get your thoughts.
We need to reestablish our manufacturing base. We need to reestablish the strength of the middle class. Free trade is a part of it, but free, fair trade. And China does not fairly trade with us.
What Senator Coburn says about incentivizing American companies to invest in America, engineering, education, that's the agenda we need. We ought to get together and do it. Republican, Democrat, forget about the presidential election.
Talk like that is awesome on cable. Would be even better if we could get Rendell down to the Senate, which it sounded like Coburn was trying to do. Congressman Himes, are we going to be able to engage the problem, which is lack of jobs, lack of lending, lack of investment, or are we going to be continued to be forced to fight these political battles from a time that is honestly long gone?
look, it's not are we going to be able to, we have to, right? The Democrats need to accept the fact that in a consumption-heavy economy, and we live in a consumption-heavy economy, when you put more money back in the hands of the people who are likely to consume, that's going to have a near-term, uplifting effect on the economy that will create jobs. The Republicans need to accept the fact that the kinds of things that Rendell was talking about that make our manufacturing sector competitive need to be invested in. Our transportation infrastructure, our system of education, which ultimately at the end of the day is the factory for producing our people and determining whether they're going to start new companies or do menial work. Those investments in the long run are absolutely critical. And just as we as Democrats need to be honest about the fact that tax cuts do put more money into Americans' pockets and some of that gets spent, the Republicans need to propose and work with us on the investments that set us up for economic prosperity.
One of my concerns, Silent, if I could jump in here, is that 25 cents out of every dollar in this country is spent by the federal government. It's hard for me to believe that that isn't somehow stimulative to the economy. And if it's not, then why are we doing it?
Right. I agree.
We are taxing, spending, and borrowing too much money. So don't tell me you need more money. But that's not the solution.
I agree. But at the same time, as I create money, the only thing that the rich people here in New York and elsewhere do with it is to look to take it to China, Brazil, or the Middle East, because that's the most profitable place to take it. What's the point of cutting it? I think I've roped Rendell and Coburn into solving all of our country's problems. Is it possible we could get you two to join to help those guys?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So we're going to sign you guys up to the Rendell Coburn Coalition. Great work, you guys. Thank you very much. I'll let them know. You don't worry about it. It'll be fine. I'll call them. Jason Chaffetz, Jim Himes out of the U.S. Congress. Again, Congressman Himes, a Democrat from Connecticut. Congressman Chaffetz, a Republican from Utah. A pleasure, gentlemen. Thanks for the conversation.